Good morning, Europe. It's Friday, the 10th of June. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories.
Civilians from Lysychansk, close to some of the hardest battles in Ukraine's east, start to flee as Kyiv tries to prevent its citizens ending up behind enemy lines. Pro-Russian separatists in Donetsk sentenced foreign soldiers, 2 British and 1 Moroccan, to death after they were caught whilst fighting for Ukraine. And hundreds of tons of crops are going to waste in the UK because there's simply not enough people to lift them. Farmers look to Central Asia to solve their labour challenges.
The front in eastern Ukraine is holding, according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. But the fighting is so close, more and more residents of Lysychansk, adjacent to Severodonetsk, are deciding to leave.
Why am I leaving? Because they broke my house. I left everything to the neighbours, my cats even. It's a pity about the garden. I planted everything there, and it's well maintained. Now there is more shelling. There are a lot of broken houses. Yesterday many people left. I am leaving with my mother. She is 80. Now we are going to the city of Dnipro.
The Ukrainian authorities are trying to prevent civilians from ending up behind enemy lines.
It is important to evacuate because now we face shelling from all sides, and life is the most important thing, the most valuable thing for a person.
The Ukrainian government maintains its focus on the Donbass, but it's clear that Russia could at any time reopen closed fronts to divert Ukrainian forces from the Eastern Front.
Even now, during this interview, we hear the airstrike siren, and it shows that we are not in a peaceful city, and the war is not over yet. We understand that any place in Ukraine can be a target for rocket shellings, including Kyiv.
Amid celebrations for the 350th anniversary of Peter the Great, Putin has compared his war in Ukraine to the Tsar's legacy.
Peter the Great led the war for 21 years. One could say he was fighting with Sweden trying to tear away some parts. He wasn't, though. He was returning the land. Returning and consolidating land, that's what he was doing. Now it seems that it is our turn for returning and consolidating.
Putin wants to be seen as Peter the Great style, the modernizer, even though he might go down in history as a cruel and unpredictable ruler.
Pro-Russian separatists in Donetsk have sentenced to death 2 British and 1 Moroccan man accused of being mercenaries fighting for the Ukrainian army. In these images, recorded under the strict control of the local de facto authorities, the captured men, Aidan Aslan, Sean Pinner and Brahim Sadoun, appeared resigned to their fate.
I was hoping the sentence would be a lot fairer, judging the circumstances in which I helped the investigation, and also because I surrendered to the Donetsk People's Republic. I wish it could be different, but God will be the one that would judge me when the time comes.
The ruling was swiftly condemned by UK officials, saying the sentence must be treated as prisoners of war.
This really has been a fraudulent show trial. We shouldn't give it any credibility whatsoever. They were captured by Russian forces in Mariupol, and they should be being treated in accordance with international law and the Geneva Convention, which certainly precludes show trials, kangaroo courts of this kind, and the death penalty.
The verdict sends a grave signal to Ukrainian soldiers, who, like the 3 men, surrendered to separatist troops in the hope of a fair trial. A lawyer representing the men said the decision will be appealed.
The acclaimed Russian novelist and commentator Dmitry Glukovsky has said he won't be silenced by Moscow after Russian authorities placed him on a wanted list. He was condemned by Russian authorities for speaking out against the war. In a video statement to Euronews, for whom he worked as a journalist, Glukovsky repeated his criticism of the Kremlin and demanded a withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukraine.
The article I am accused of and wanted for is called an article on discrediting the Russian army. But in fact, it is on military censorship and the political persecution of the pacifists in Russia. Any opinion that differs from the information and position of the Russian propaganda is declared illegal. And those who dare to voice it face up to 15 years in prison. The Instagram post for which I am accused of discrediting the Russian army goes like this: "No to the war in Ukraine. Admit that this is a real war against the entire Ukrainian people and stop it." Regardless of what I am accused of, I am ready to fully repeat these words. I demand an immediate cessation of hostilities in Ukraine and the withdrawal of Russian troops from it.
Since invading the country in February, Moscow has enforced a zero-tolerance approach to any form of dissent, cracking down on public protests, critical media and opposition figures. A fire in Sierra Bermeja in southern Spain has devastated at least 2,000 hectares. More than 3,000 people have been evacuated as a precautionary measure, and 3 forest firefighters have suffered burns. On Thursday, 1,000 firefighters joined the efforts.
Hundreds of hectares of salad, but here whole fields of this Kent-grown crop have this year gone to waste. All because for the second year in a row, there's a huge shortage of people to pick it.
We probably wasted about between 50 and 20% of this year's crop. I've probably wasted about 150 tonnes of crop so far.
This year?
This year, yeah.
The Eastern Europeans who were picking this baby gem lettuce pre-Brexit haven't returned. Instead, farmers have had to look further afield to the Far East. Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan and Tajikistan. So why not employ Brits?
There's been a mantra of trying to bring British people in. We've tried that hard. Absolute no-goer. Just not happening. We've been in engagement with Maidstone Job Centre for 4 years and we've had not a single person through it. Not a single person. So please stop giving me that rhetoric because it's absolute garbage.
100 miles away in West Sussex, one of the country's largest vegetable growers has faced another uphill battle.
Finding labour has been exceptionally difficult this year. There have been delays in people coming on the seasonal workers programme.
The Seasonal Workers Programme, which offers short-term visas for farm workers, gave UK growers the opportunity to invite 30,000 migrants to work in Britain this year, with the option for 10,000 extra if needed. The government is yet to agree to allow the extra workers in. Farmers say they must do so now before it's too late.
Last year, a staggering 600 tonnes of crop was thrown away on this one farm. The battle to find labourers has been almost as challenging this year, and farmers say unless more seasonal migrants are allowed in to pick this broccoli, fields like this one will cease to exist in the UK.
To recruit somebody, to get all of their paperwork in order, and then to move them from their home country to the UK probably takes a minimum 2 to 3 weeks. And crops don't wait for anybody. They keep growing, and once they grow beyond a certain point, they're out of specification for UK retail and they will go to waste.
The UK government acknowledges the farming industry is facing labour challenges and says it's extended the seasonal workers visa route until the end of 2024. The government also says it's working towards attracting UK workers to the sector. Luke Hanrahan, Euronews.